On behalf of the American Academy of Neurology and in collaboration with Neurology Today, it gives me great pleasure to introduce Maria Shriver. Now, Maria, you don't need any introduction whatsoever. You wear many hats, from the First Lady of California to the founder of the Women's Alzheimer's Movement. You've given Alzheimer's an amazing voice, and I appreciate that. But you know, I've actually subscribed to your newsletter. You have something called the Sunday Paper. I don't know how I got on this email list a long time ago, and you have this section called "I've Been Thinking," and I actually, like, literally every Sunday I do two things. There's a podcast by this guy Peter Attia who I listen to, and then I read your Sunday Paper. So that's my Sunday morning kind of thing.
Good.
And this past Sunday, I opened up my email, and I never checked my phone in my bed because I'm trying to, like, get out of that habit. But I got up and I saw this picture, and it was of the USS Comfort in the New York Harbor with the Statue of Liberty. And I was like, wow, that is something else. And, you know, it's a symbol of hope. And, you know, neurologists, physicians on the front lines, we have never been through anything like we're going through right now. And in your Sunday Paper, you said something like, it seems like every conversation you're having is about, like, grief and loss. So, you know, I wanted to get your advice. I wanted to just talk to you. And, you know, for doctors on the front lines, for physicians, for, you know, nurse practitioners, PAs, medical students, neurology residents, staff, how do we have to think about these troubling times, and what advice do you have for us?
Well, I think, first of all, thank you, Richard, for having me. I just want to be clear, I'm not the First Lady of California now. I'm the former First Lady of California. I actually am working for the current governor and first partner of California. I'm chairing the task force on Alzheimer's, preparedness, prevention, and the path forward for him and for the state of California on how we can be better prepared, how we can be better ready, and how we can think differently about Alzheimer's and what that means to be prepared. And part of that is how we can have more doctors on the front lines, how we can have more healthcare workers on the front lines, how we can maybe incentivize people to go into that profession, how we can perhaps look at loan forgiveness, how we can elevate home health care workers. So in my capacity as a former First Lady of California, I'm chairing this task force so that California can lead the nation. For neurologists, doctors, nurses, anybody in the healthcare profession watching this right now, I think they need to know that they have the gratitude of the entire world, first and foremost. Maybe they can't feel that. I hope maybe they can if they sit quietly, if they have a moment to sit quietly, even in the shower, that the eyes of the world, and I think the hands of the world in terms of gratitude, are more focused on the healthcare profession now than I think ever in our history, and rightfully so. Everybody in the healthcare profession is risking their lives, really, on a daily basis as they go to work on the front lines of humanity, much like soldiers go to risk their lives for us in foreign countries that we can't see that often, right? And we need to express our gratitude, I think, on a daily basis to those people. All of us are trying to stay at home as a form of service to help those in the healthcare profession. But I would say, first and foremost, just thank you. Thank you for honoring your oath. Thank you for coming out of retirement to do what you do. Thank you for stepping up. Thank you for listening. Thank you for doing your thing. We're all depending on you. And I know that's a lot. Many of us feel sometimes that our kids are depending on us, or our partners are depending on us, or the people who work for us are depending on us. And healthcare professionals have millions of people depending on them. So that's heavy. That's heavy. And I think I find myself, when I feel like that heavy, I try to take a minute and just close my eyes and kind of right myself and remind myself that this is a moment that we will, which brings me back to what my father talked about, forging the character. We will get through this. We will come out different. Our characters will be shaped and altered by this experience, by what we're experiencing. And we're having this collective experience, but we're also very alone, I think, in our experiences. Your experience is really different from mine. Mine is very different from my kids. from my brothers. So I think we have to tread gently on each other at this moment in time. I think we have to be compassionate and empathetic, and understand that it's very individual, it's very lonely, it's scary, and yet, in a way, we have no option but to come out. We have no option but to rise up. We have no option but to come through this together.
I first of all, I appreciate, and we all appreciate, the gratitude. This has been a terrible time for a lot of people. Millions and tens of millions of people. But New York City, I don't even want to talk about the things that we've had to go through and challenging decisions we've had to make, and the redeployments and the I've seen the heart and soul of my colleagues, and it's honestly been a beautiful and uplifting thing, but it's also been pretty sad a lot of the times too. Something you said about your father. I'd read that when you were a little girl, your dad had said about when he was in the Navy, and then he lived through the Great Depression, and that forged his character. And you just mentioned that, and I want to repeat that for a moment, and pause and just repeat that. We're going through a tough time right now. I thought I was already kind of developed as a person. I thought, I'd been through tough things. My father passed away and different things that kind of shaped me as a person. But I thought I was kind of, the person who I am. No, this is shaping me. This is going to change who I am. This will change things, how, I go about my career. And, for neurologists and physicians out there, I think this is going to change all of us. How can we see this is a terrible situation. So, I don't want to say, yay, silver lining, but how can we try to see a silver lining? And how do you think doctors, can be better prepared? I'm a neurologist. You've seen Alzheimer's. Alzheimer's has touched both of our lives. We're used to some bad situations, from Lou Gehrig's disease, ALS, to Alzheimer's, brain tumors. Just tough diseases. But this is really shaking a lot of us to our core. How do you think we're going to come back out of this, and how can we try to come back stronger?
Well, I think every experience we get through forges our character, right? You lose a parent, you come out of that differently, right? And you lose a friend, you lose a child, whatever you lose, you come out of that experience different. And so I think all of us are going to come out of this different. How we tell the story of us is really up to us. And the story of us, we'll tell it in our families. It will become a part of our individual family's history, part of our individual family's lore. And how we tell it collectively will become part of our nation's history and our collective global story. I think, how will we come out of it? I think it's too early to tell, because everybody, as I said, is having a different experience. The millions of people who are applying for unemployment, people who are economically insecure, food insecure, their experience might be completely different than a person who's in the healthcare profession and on the front lines doing what they're doing. So I think it's really, it's like asking to write the ending of a book before you've written the middle of the book. And so I think it's, I was speaking on Sunday Paper Live. The Sunday Paper is having its own moment, actually, right now. Thousands of people, it reaches millions of people every week. Thousands more sign up all the time, which tells me people describe it as a lifeline. They describe it as an oasis, inspiration, but it tells me that they want a place to kind of be in a safe community. They want to be moved. They want to be elevated, and they want to feel, I guess, like it's going to be okay. And I think the Sunday Paper does that for them. I hope it does. That was its original intent. It's really an offering. And we've started doing Sunday Paper Live because people wanted that. And we spoke this past Sunday with Pastor Max Lucado, who is a wonderful pastor. He talked about, resilience. We all have resilience within us, and determination and resilience is what will get us through. So we'll kind of thinking about others, having compassion and empathy will help us. get through this. The story of us at this moment might be that we forgot our divisions and found our collective empathy and compassion. I hope so. I don't know, but I believe that will be part of our story. Mm-hmm. I hope we will come out of this understanding the importance of investing in medical research. I talk about that on behalf of the Women's Alzheimer's movement all the time, but people oftentimes don't want to invest in something that feels far away, that feels like they can't kind of touch it. I hope perhaps this reiterates the importance of investing in diseases that we can't see or maybe that haven't come to our doorstep already. I hope this reiterates the importance of the healthcare profession. I hope it elevates it. I hope we maybe look at ways to entice more people to go into it by offering loan forgiveness because it's so expensive to become a doctor and a nurse, and yet we all need them so much. I think so many issues that perhaps were on the back burner will be now on the front burner. We'll look at health disparities. We'll look at income inequality in a different way, perhaps. But I think maybe perhaps we'll all look at our own roles in society. How do we speak to one another? How do we interact with one another? The Sunday paper community is big, and everybody in it kind of sees themselves as a part of creating a more compassionate, caring, collaborative world. And I hope maybe that will be the larger world that comes out of all of this.
Yeah, and I don't know if it was a week or two ago, but one of the quotes from the Sunday paper from, I think it was like 2 weeks ago, was "I need you more than ever right now," is a common, quote that people are saying to each other. And I mean, I can't agree with you more. I mean, I have doctor friends, right, that are like colleagues, but friends. But, I've never had the types of conversations I've had with these people. We're sharing, situations that we've never confronted before. We're all in some ways suffering in similar ways, but trying to be strong because we have to be strong. We were built for, this is our war, right? This is our war. This is our duty. This is our mission, and we have to go into the front. We have to be on the front line, and we have to keep doing as much as we can. But I'm interested in the after effects. The psychological toll. I mean,
you want the end of the story now.
Yeah.
You want the end of the story, and you need to let go of the ending. That's what they teach you, right, in Buddhism, or you have to let go of the outcome. You learn that, I suppose, in life. So I think one of the other things is maybe we'll have a little bit more reverence for the older generation. Maybe we know a thing or two. I'm older than you, and you have to let go of the outcome because we don't know the outcome. And just being there for your colleagues or your loved ones right now is the best thing that you can do. Being compassionate to someone, having the time to pick up the phone, being empathetic, that's the outcome for today. Letting go of the larger outcome. You can't go to the end of the book and read the story and then go back. There is no end to this story right now. So we all have to just go into the present, stay in it, do the best we can in the present, and let go of the outcome. A friend of mine, Martha Beck, who also writes a lot for the Sunday paper and interviewed, she said, I used to not want to be called a self-help coach. I hated that term. But right now I'm embracing it because we've trained for this moment. Yeah. All of us who have been self-help coaches, we've been training for this moment. Yeah. And doctors have been training for this moment. Parents have trained for this moment. Those of us who have been through loss and heartache and pain have trained for this moment so that we can reassure people your age. You're going to be okay. You're going to come out. You may be different. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. But don't worry right now about the end because we don't know it. Stay in this moment.
That's very, very helpful advice. And I think being zen about not knowing the end of the story, I think I just want to pause and just repeat that. I think that's going to help us get through this. Really important.
I didn't say you're going to be zen. You can try to be zen. Take a breath. I think many of us also, what I've also learned is that, and I'm guilty of this, we forget to breathe.
Yeah.
we forget to breathe. And, so if we breathe and we're like, as the pastor said on Sunday, if you start thinking like, I don't have any money, I don't have any food, I don't have this, what is that? Like, come back to this moment. Mm-hmm. Find gratitude that you're breathing in this moment, that you're not on a ventilator in this moment. We will get through to the next moment. But I think, knowing that we've all in one way or another trained for this moment, and that we will get through this moment. And I feel like in this moment, I feel strengthened by my past experiences. Mm-hmm. I feel like I can say to my children, whether it's virtually or in a social distance walk, I've got you. Mm-hmm. I've been through a lot and you're going to be okay. I'm stepping into my mother or my father's shoes. I'm the elder, and I want to reassure them and their future children that this will forge our character and we will get through this.
Sage advice and appreciated. Maybe one more question. I know we have to wrap up in a little bit, but one more question. So you said now you're the elder, or I guess in some ways all of us have different elder roles in this situation. And you have kids. I believe your youngest is just graduating college, and you have kids in their 20s. I believe
his graduation is canceled. So I was talking to him about that. So for me, for him, that's like the end of the world, right? All of his friends have worked like for this moment. All year long, they thought about their graduation. They thought about the jobs they were going to, the booming economy, and it's all wiped out. Their world as they knew it is wiped out. Someone else's world as they knew it is wiped out differently. Yeah. But for him, it's like overwhelming, right? So I was talking to him the other night, and he's like, wow, it's really like depressing. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. No, I'm so sorry that you're going through this. And he said, do you think my we're never going to have a graduation? Is it really going to be all over like that? I said, we're going to have some kind of graduation. Not, I don't know when, but I want you to believe that there's going to be some kind of celebration. And where you're going to go, the world you're going to graduate into, you're going to be okay. What it's going to be, I don't know. But I've got you, you've got me, we're going to get through this.
Right. Yeah. And that kind of, kids from young kids to junior high school, college, I feel like a kid. I think we're all growing and learning and trying to, I don't know, figure things out. And I think that the best takeaway that I've learned a lot from this conversation, but to be okay with not knowing the ending. And because, I don't know when the ending, I think the ending hopefully will be, well, I don't know what the ending I don't know what our new normal is going to be. I don't know if social distancing will loosen up in June or July, or when I'll be able to go to a baseball game again, or when we'll start flying again, and when the jobs will open up. But I think the most important thing here, especially physicians who are in practice, not seeing patients, doing video visits, have a lack of income. Doctors don't make as much money as they used to, and things are hard now, especially when your income takes a big hit. I think just staying in the moment, getting through it, and being okay without knowing the end is some really, really great advice.
I used to always, go like, what is my life going to look like in a year? What is my life going to look like by the summer? What is my life? And I used to do that all the time. Like, I don't know what's happening. And then I've learned, like, I don't know what my life, I would never have thought my life would be what my life is today. Yeah. But I'm okay. It's not what I imagined. It's not what I thought. It's not what I planned. It's not what I wanted, but it's okay. And I'm healthy and I'm good. Right. So I think that's really, I learned that, sometimes, and for me, I'm a spiritual person, a religious person. I'm raised Catholic, educated by the nuns and the Jesuits. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I've come to learn that God does for me what I can't do for myself. And so I try to take it one day at a time. And I just think to myself, okay, 10 years from now, I want to be able to tell the story of this moment I want to remember this moment. I want to remember who I was going in. I want to remember what was good, what was bad, what frustrated me. I want to be able to remember this moment so I can tell about this moment.
That's great. So let's end this on a little bit of a maybe kind of happier note. I don't know if it's happier than a pandemic, but you've been a voice and a champion for Alzheimer's disease for, almost 20 years now. And, you brought a voice to a disease where there was stigma, there was no hope. It was just all sadness and darkness. And you've really seen Alzheimer's, I think, change before your eyes. And most recently, you've just been, literally, you've gotten me to change the way I think and practice in my clinic, because now I think about women and men differently. Imagine that. Wow, men and women are different. Who knew? They have different brains, different paths, different risk factors to Alzheimer's. Maria, maybe just tell our viewers a little bit about what you've been up to with the women's Alzheimer's movement, a little bit about how you got interested in this, and why I hope that you're excited about the progress that will be unfolding in Alzheimer's disease in the coming years.
Well, I'm excited that, while most people focus on oh my God, there's no cure for Alzheimer's, I'm excited that more people are talking about Alzheimer's. I'm excited that more people are investing in the research of Alzheimer's. I'm excited that people now recognize that we need to look at sex differences when it comes to all of our medical research, right. In particular in Alzheimer's, because that's been my drumbeat. But I think we need to look at it across all of this. We're now seeing, for example, in this pandemic, that for some reason it seems to be impacting men more than women. Why is that? I think the more we look at data, the more we look at sex differences, that helps all of us as we move forward. It helps all of us to learn about the brain, to learn about all of these things, whether it's to learn about why certain diseases impact certain sex differences, certain minorities differently. We're finding out that, pre-existing conditions, most focused on the African-American community, are resulting in more deaths in this pandemic. There's so much we need to learn about medicine, about sex differences. The women's Alzheimer's movement was really born out of this frustration that I had that none of the doctors that I went to talk to thought there was any difference between men and women. They were like, there is no difference. The only reason, more women have Alzheimer's is because they live longer. And I felt like I was pulling out my hair. So I said, damn, I'm going to start my own movement. I'm going to issue a report to the nation because you're wrong. I know I'm right. And lo and behold, sometimes it's a reporter that comes in and says, okay, here are the facts. So I'm really happy now that everywhere I go, researchers saying, yes, there is a difference. Yes, there are more women. And no, we don't know why, but we're going to look at it. And I always say that's not sexist, it's just smart. And it's smart for all of us to look at that, because women's process of aging is different from men. And we have to catch up. We have a research knowledge gap. And so we need to catch up when it comes to understanding how women age versus how men age. So the women's Alzheimer's movement, in a way, has sounded a clarion call that people have responded to. And sometimes I think, well, that's good. Let's close up shop, because what we wanted to do is get everybody to look at that and, check. And but then I go out and I meet researchers who tell me they need more money. I go out and I meet people who tell me they need more support with caregiving. But I'm excited about what I'm doing for the governor here in California. I'm deeply grateful for the people who have supported the women's Alzheimer's movement. I'm deeply grateful for doctors like you who continue to look at sex differences and also to treat patients on the front lines and bring hope to families who can't get a diagnosis, who can't afford help, who are doing this kind of caregiving 24/7. So I'm as I get older, I realize more and more what my parents told me is, starting at 5, they said to me, you're here to be of service, be a servant, be of service. That's your reason to be here. And I said, that's all I'm supposed to do is be of service. And they're like, that's a lot. That's a lot. And so I'm I think we're all being of service in a way right now, and I think we will all continue to be of service.
Yeah. So listen, I'm going to apologize in advance. For the next 2 months, I have to put my Alzheimer's hat on the side, and I'm a COVID doctor, and most of us are going to be COVID doctors, nurses, healthcare, respiratory techs. We're going to be COVID focused. We're going to beat this back as best as we can, and when we win this battle and hopefully win the war, I'll have my Alzheimer's prevention and treatment hat back on, and we'll get right on the path. You got to
remember, I think, as I said yesterday in this Alzheimer's town hall, even though COVID and everybody's all hands on deck, every 65 seconds, a new brain develops Alzheimer's, and those millions of people can't wait for everybody to only be focused on COVID. Right. They're dealing in real time as we sit here. There's another brain and another brain and another brain that's being diagnosed, and another family being impacted. So I look forward to the day when doctors don't have to choose between a pandemic and people who are struggling with Alzheimer's.
Yeah, and things like you mentioned, student loan forgiveness. I graduated with $346,000 of loans. I'm about halfway paid off.
Yeah.
We need to fix
that. We need to fix that in this country. We need to fix that.
Yeah, that'll help getting the workforce up. And, when it comes to neurology, getting more people, it's called the pipeline. We have a shortage of neurologists. We need to interest medical students and high school students, college students. If anyone's watching this who's young, and neuroscience is fun, it's rewarding. And hey, if I didn't choose neurology, I would have never got to meet and talk to Maria Shriver. I mean, how cool is that? So excellent. Maria, thank you so much. Deeply appreciated. And on behalf of the American Academy of Neurology and Neurology Today, thank you. Stay safe and healthy out there, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Take care. Bye-bye.